My sister called me in hysterics just after sunrise. Her voice cracked, thick with tears. "She's gone," she sobbed. "Mom died last night. The funeral is Friday. She left everything to me, so don't bother coming back. You get nothing." I didn't answer right away. I held the phone away from my ear and smiled, because standing right beside me, calmly sipping her morning tea, was my mother, very much alive. My name is Lena Brooks. I'm 33 years old, and I make a living uncovering hidden money, forged records, and financial lies as a forensic accountant. I've exposed corrupt executives, dirty politicians, and million-dollar scams. But nothing prepared me for the fraud my own sister was trying to pull. Before I tell you how I turned her fake funeral into a public nightmare, let me ask you this. If you've ever been treated like the black sheep of your family, this story is for you. The morning air in Cape May, New Jersey was sharp and salty, the kind of peace you only feel when you're far from the noise of your old life. I sat on the patio of a quiet rented beach house, watching the sun creep up over the ocean. To my right, my mother, Evelyn Brooks, moved slowly through her morning stretches. At 66, she looked healthier than she had in years. The tremors that once worried doctors were gone. Her eyes were clear, her posture strong. We had been here for 4 months, completely off the radar, hiding from my sister, Renee. I lifted my coffee just as my phone buzzed. Her name flashed on the screen. My stomach tightened instantly. We had been no contact since the night I pulled Mom out of a state nursing facility in the middle of the night. I glanced at Evelyn. She was facing the ocean, unaware. I answered without speaking. "Lena?" Renee's voice was shaky, breathy, performative. "Oh God, it's Mom!" I sat up straighter, my eyes locking on my very alive mother. "What about her?" "She had a heart attack," she tried. "The nurse called me at 3 in the morning. They tried everything, but she's gone." I muted the phone so she couldn't hear my sharp inhale. Oak Ridge Care Center. That was the facility Renee had dumped Mom in 6 months ago, after forging my signature while I was overseas. She told everyone Mom had advanced dementia. The truth, Mom had a mild infection, and Renee wanted access to her townhouse in Baltimore. I unmuted. "Where is she now?" "They had to cremate her immediately. Health protocols. It's what she wanted." I almost laughed. My mother was a lifelong church-going woman who believed in open caskets and 3-day viewings. She was terrified of fire. I put the phone on speaker. Evelyn had finished her stretches and was walking toward me, towel over her shoulder. I lifted a finger, silently asking her to listen. "So let me understand," I said evenly. "Mom died last night, was cremated this morning, and you're just calling me now?" Renee's crying stopped for half a second. Then came irritation. "I'm handling everything. The service is Friday at New Hope Baptist, but you don't need to come." Evelyn froze. "Why wouldn't I come?" I asked. "Because she didn't want you there," Renee snapped. "She asked for me. She left everything to me, the house, the accounts, all of it." I watched my mother break with realization. Her favorite child had declared her dead. Evelyn gave me a single, sharp nod. Permission. "Okay," I said softly, "if that's what she wanted." Renee exhaled in relief. "Good, I'll send you the live stream. Don't come back, Lena. It'll just cause drama." I ended the call. The ocean waves filled the silence. "She said I was dead," Evelyn whispered. "She hasn't seen you in months," I replied, taking her hand. "If I hadn't come back early from Europe, you might actually be." Evelyn's grip tightened. "She's going to sell the house." "No," I said, already opening my tablet. "She's going to expose herself." I stood and dialed my attorney. "Marcus," I said when he answered, "book the jet. Renee just killed Mom on paper and claimed the estate. There was a pause, then typing. That's felony fraud. I know, and she's holding a funeral Friday. I looked at Evelyn, who stood tall, teacup steady in her hand. She wants a funeral. We'll give her one. We weren't going as mourners. We were going as evidence. The humidity hit me the moment I stepped out of the airport in Baltimore. Thick, sticky, familiar, the kind of air that clings to you whether you want it to or not. I left my mother hidden safely in a boutique hotel under a different name, guarded and under strict instructions not to answer the door for anyone. For now, she was my ace in the hole. I drove a plain black rental sedan toward the neighborhood where I grew up. Every block felt like a memory. The corner bakery where I used to buy sticky buns before school was now a minimalist cafe selling espresso shots for $8. The old beauty salon was a yoga studio. History erased, brick by brick. Then I turned onto Hawthorne Avenue. My chest tightened. There it was, the brownstone my grandmother bought cleaning offices at night. The house where my mother raised us, and staked into the front lawn like a knife was a sign that made my vision blur. Pending sale. According to Renee's story, Mom had been dead less than 12 hours. I parked 3 houses down, engine running, windows tinted. A white cargo van was backed into the driveway. 2 men were hauling furniture out like it was trash. Then I saw Caleb, my brother-in-law, standing on the porch with a clipboard, barking orders. They carried out the dining table. That table had been in our family since the 1920s. My mother polished it every Sunday, telling us stories about the relatives who gathered around it. Watching strangers toss it into a truck felt like watching someone steal bones from a grave. I reached for my phone, instinct screaming to call the police. But I stopped myself. Not yet. Then my phone buzzed. Renee was alive on Instagram. I opened the stream. She sat in what I immediately recognized as Mom's bedroom, my mother's bedroom, wearing black, mascara perfectly smudged, voice trembling. We weren't prepared for the expenses, the cremation, the service. If you feel led, the link is in my bio. I clicked it. A GoFundMe titled Honoring Evelyn Brooks. Goal, $50,000. Raised already $17,200. Comments poured in from church members, former co-workers, neighbors, people donating grocery money, rent money, grief money. I tethered my laptop to my phone hotspot and got to work. It took me less than 5 minutes to peel back the donation backend. The payout account wasn't a funeral fund. It was a credit line. A luxury retail card. Renee wasn't burying our mother. She was paying off handbags. I screenshotted everything. Routing numbers, timestamps, live footage, balances, wire fraud, theft by deception, open and shut. I closed the laptop and drove away before I did something reckless. My next stop was a dim jazz cafe downtown. In the back booth sat Grant Hale, a private investigator I'd worked with before. He slid a thick envelope across the table. "You're not going to like this," he said. "Tell me anyway." "I went to Oak Ridge," he said quietly. "Night nurse talked. Your sister authorized your mom's transfer to palliative care months ago." My stomach dropped. "And there's more." He pulled out a document. A do not resuscitate order, signed 4 months ago, by my mother, except it wasn't her handwriting. The pressure was wrong, the curves were wrong. It was a traced signature. A bad forgery, but good enough for the facility. My hands shook. They were waiting for her to die. He said they made sure if her heart stopped, no one would help. That wasn't greed, that was intent. I flipped through the rest, photos of Caleb meeting administrators, small cash withdrawals from Mom's pension lining up with those meetings. This isn't just fraud, it's attempted murder. "You could have them arrested tonight," Grant said. I shook my head. "Not yet." He raised an eyebrow. "They want sympathy," I said. "They want to look like victims." I stood up. "So I'm going to let them finish their performance." The funeral was in 2 days. I had the money trail, I had the medical fraud, now I needed the final piece, the star witness. I drove back to the hotel. It was time to show my mother exactly what her favorite child had done in her name. My mother didn't cry when I showed her the documents. She sat on the edge of the hotel bed, reading each page slowly, too slowly. The forged DNR, the bank statements, the screenshots of Renee's live stream and the donation page. When she finished, she folded the papers with the same care she used to fold church programs. "She was always jealous of you," Evelyn said quietly, "but I never thought she'd want me gone. That's why we stop this the right way. No yelling, no scenes, just truth." She looked up at me then, calm, focused, dangerous in the way only a betrayed mother can be. "I want to go to my own funeral," she said. The service was held Friday afternoon at New Hope Baptist Church, the same place my mother sang in the choir for 23 years. By the time I arrived, the parking lot was full. People in black gathered in small clusters, whispering, hugging, crying. A large framed photo of my mother sat at the entrance. It was an old one, from 10 years ago, because Renee didn't have a recent photo. I took a seat 3 rows from the front, head bowed, sunglasses on. Renee stood near the pulpit, clutching tissues, soaking in condolences like sunlight. Caleb hovered beside her, stiff and watchful. The pastor spoke about Evelyn's gentle spirit and her sudden passing. People sniffled, a few wailed. Then came the open mic. Renee stepped forward, voice trembling. "My mother was my best friend," she said. "In her final moments, she squeezed my hand and told me to take care of everything." That's when the side door opened. The hinges creaked. Every head turned. My mother walked in, not in black, in a soft blue dress, her favorite one, the same color she wore every Easter. For a moment, the room broke. Someone screamed. A woman dropped her purse. The pastor stumbled backwards, nearly knocking over the urn on the stand. Renee's face drained of color so fast I thought she might faint. Evelyn walked slowly down the aisle, her heels clicking against the church floor like a countdown. "I'm sorry I'm late," my mother said calmly. "Traffic." Silence. Then chaos. "What kind of sick joke is this?" Renee shouted, backing away from the pulpit. "That's not her. That's me," Evelyn said, stopping inches from her. Still alive, still breathing, still very disappointed. The pastor recovered first. "Mrs. Brooks, we were told." "You were lied to," my mother said gently, "by my daughter." Phones came out instantly. I stood. "Before anyone leaves, there are a few things you should see." I walked to the front and handed the pastor a folder. He opened it, eyes widening. "That GoFundMe? The donations you gave in good faith? They went to a retail credit account, not funeral expenses." Murmurs rippled through the room. "And that cremation story? Never happened. No death certificate, no body, no authorization." Renee lunged for me. Caleb grabbed her arm too late. The side doors burst open. 2 uniformed police officers entered, followed by a woman in a gray suit carrying a briefcase. "Renee Brooks, you are under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult." Caleb froze. The woman in gray stepped forward. "And Mr. Brooks, you're being detained for questioning regarding falsified medical directives." Handcuffs clicked. Renee collapsed to her knees, screaming, begging, clawing at my mother's dress. "You said you loved me," she sobbed. Evelyn stepped back. "I loved the daughter I thought you were. That girl wouldn't have buried me alive." They dragged Renee away. The church was dead silent. My mother turned to the crowd. "I'm sorry you were all deceived, but I'm grateful. Your kindness showed me who I can trust." Then she looked at me. "And I'm going home." 3 weeks later, the sale sign was gone. The house was back in my mother's name. Every donor was refunded, plus interest, using funds seized from Renee's accounts. Oak Ridge Care Center lost its license. Renee took a plea deal, 5 years. Caleb took 8. As for my mother, every Sunday she sits at that old dining table again, sipping tea, sunlight spilling across the wood, very much alive. And this time, no one gets to write her ending but her.